Great to see you on this beautiful, I don't know if it's still fall morning, but whatever we're calling it, first winter morning. We're excited to have such great turnout. We appreciate our media partners who are here with us. Thank you for joining us. I am joined here by Carlos Braceras, and you'll be hearing from him shortly. I want to recognize Representative Kate Christopherson, who Representative, thank you for making the trip up from Utah County to be here for this very exciting announcement. As an administration, one of our key goals is to enhance the quality of life for Utah, not just now, but especially for future generations. When I say quality of life, I mean more than just jobs in the economy, although that's certainly part of what we do and a very important focus. But we want to make this place a vibrant place, bursting with amenities. We want to have abundant opportunity for the people who live here to recreate and enjoy Utah's natural beauty. We know why we all live here. It's a beautiful place. All you have to do is look around on a day like today and get excited about this beautiful landscape that surrounds us. We also want to ensure that growth is sustainable with clean air and clean water. And we want our built environment to create new ways to bring people together. A sense of community is more important now than ever before. And so today, we are announcing a bold vision to build a statewide network of trails with state funding that connects Utahns of all ages and abilities to their destinations and communities throughout this state. As I travel around this state, as I ride and run, I hear the same thing. The public loves our trail systems, and they want more. And we need to give them more. This is who we are. This is our brand. We own the outdoor space, and this will only help elevate that outdoor experience. As we look to the future of transportation in Utah, a dedicated trail network will provide additional transportation choices for all Utahns. This trail network will really introduce new ways to commute and to recreate safely with more personal interaction. We know this interaction will lead to people being healthier and happier. The data is very clear on this. Now, I want to give a special thanks to Carlos Braceras. A few months ago, we sat down with everyone, all the senior leadership in my administration, and we challenged them to think big, to think bold, to think outside the box. And we asked them to come with proposals about how they could use their resources, their talents, the people around them to make our state a better place. And Carlos came to us with this big idea. He likened it to the interstate system. When I-15 back in the middle of the last century, when our nation took on this bold idea that we were going to connect all the states with an interstate highway system, and that's exactly what happened. This is our interstate highway system. This is our intrastate trail system. This bold idea that we, at some point in the future, will be able to get from anywhere in Utah to anywhere else without having to get on a roadway to accomplish that, and to do so safely and again in a way that brings people together. Now, the details are still being worked out, of course. This is a very early announcement, and since this initiative will require funds dedicated to building and maintaining trails as part of the state's transportation system, we'll continue to work with the legislature to repurpose existing funds and see what else we can do to make this happen. In addition to funding, UDOT will work collaboratively with cities and towns, and we have several mayors here, representatives from our counties. I so appreciate the only reason we can do this, folks, the only reason we can even dream about doing this is because we have mayors and city council members and counties that have already been doing this. We have some of the best trail systems anywhere in the world, and now we get to put in those pieces to connect them all together. Safe and accessible trails will be a sustainable contribution to the overall quality of life for Utahns and our visitors for generations to come. So we look forward to working with all of our partners here to make this vision a reality over the next several years. And with that, please join me in welcoming the Director of the Utah Department of Transportation, Carlos Braceras.
Well, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Governor, for your vision and your leadership in something like this. When you gave us that challenge, I was not quite sure how far to go with it. And when our team decided to put this forward, we were like, well, why not? He said be bold, and we were trying to be bold. You know, as we're standing here today on the Legacy Parkway Trail, and I worked on this back in the 90s, and at that time, building trails as part of a project wasn't a natural thing. And I remember when we opened this project, driving down here on a Saturday morning, when it was first opened, I could swear there was more people on the trail than there was on the road at that time. And that still stuck with me for years. And so moving forward from that point, we've been looking at building trails associated with projects. But that's been a project here and a project there. We were never really able to think about it as a comprehensive network to be able to connect them together into a network that just works for people. And you know, this does start with communities. You know, we've been doing an amazing job. Our cities, towns, counties have been doing an amazing job building trails. They understand, they hear from the public every day. This is what they want, this is important to them. And as I travel around the state with the Transportation Commission, we hear that this is what people want to have. And we believe that the work that the cities and counties have done building their trail systems have really helped from a transportation perspective, but also from a community identity perspective. The cities are so proud about what it means to them. And it's bringing people together. As the governor said, when people are outside, they come together, and when people come together, they're happier. It's a well-being issue. And I'm convinced it's very important for us as we move forward. So we're thinking now this statewide paved trail system. You know, we don't have it all laid out. We don't have lines on a map at all. This is something that we want to work with all of our communities, all of our partners to figure out how to do it. And of course with the legislature. I mean, the legislature, they're the ones who will help set the policy on this. And so we want to present a vision and then work through that vision with the legislature and see where it goes. But just as the interstate connected our cities and our states together and really made this country what it is today from an economic quality of life perspective, where you could go wherever you wanted to go, whenever you wanted to go, I believe a statewide trail system will do the same to the state of Utah and will prove a legacy for all citizens and visitors to the state of Utah for so many years. This will serve people that choose not to drive as well. Those that cannot or choose not to drive will now have a way to get around the entire state because our communities will be connected. And so I am so excited that this will be something that will better our state of Utah, and look forward to working with everybody to make this vision a reality. Thank you very much. So, do you want to do one-on-ones, or do you want to do it like this?
Let's scrum right now, if that's okay. Let's just
Okay.
ask questions. Go ahead.
Go.
So either of you,
Yeah.
how are you going to keep these trail networks equitable to those who might be differently abled and lower income communities?
Yeah, well, there's a couple ways. First of all, we have to connect those communities, our lower income communities. These trails can't just be accessible to people on the east side or people in wealthier neighborhoods, and that's very important. We know that active transportation is something that everyone in the state wants, so we need to make sure that there is physical access. We also need to make sure that the trails are built in such a way that people of all abilities can get on them, and that's been really important to everything that we're doing throughout the state. I will say, as technology improves, and that's one of the things we're very excited about. We're seeing with the advent of e-bikes now, as the price of e-bikes come down, that people that normally would not be able to get on a bike and ride for very far distances now can. So this has a dual opportunity, of course, helping people of different abilities be able to access technology that gives them access to our trails, but also it's going to have a huge opportunity for us to reduce our car usage. And of course the emissions that come from our car usage, cleaning up the environment. This is something I'm so excited about. This is a project that both Republicans and Democrats actually agree on. You don't know who's a Republican and who's a Democrat when they're walking on this trail right now, and that's one of the things that I really love about this. It's open to everyone. Carlos, anything you would add?
No, Governor, I think equity is a very important component of this. For those that, you know, I don't care what you make, you should have access to this, and I don't care your ability. Whatever ability you have, you should be able to use this system to be able to get around. I think this is going to be a system that will help level out things for people of all abilities, all income levels. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we doing to make the streets safe for the connections? Yeah, great question. So the transportation community just finished a 2.5-day annual conference, and I would say the theme of that conference was addressing all users and being able to say that every user, whether you're walking, biking, if you're in a car, if you're in a bus, on a train, whatever your ability level is, you should be able to be safe on that transportation system. So every situation is going to be a little differently, and the tools that are needed there, we're going to look at things like possibly reducing speeds on some roadways. We're going to look at making grade separations so that you don't have to be running across a 7-lane highway with your bike to be able to get to the trail connection on the other side. And so those last mile connections are critical, and I believe those last mile connections are also critical to help people make a decision to utilize transit. Transit's going to be one of the most important changes we're going to see moving forward into the future as we come close to doubling our population, and you think about where are we going to put twice the people. We're certainly not going to put down twice the lane miles. Transit's going to be a big part of our future. Those first last mile connections, if you could walk it, if you can bike it, people will be more likely to utilize transit. So it's going to be part of it, but every situation is going to be unique to the area in which we're working on.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about where we're going? Well, look, let me just say this. What you're hearing from Carlos is really critical, and I just want to underscore this distinction that we, for far too long, we have put transportation into different buckets, right? So we had our highways here, then we had transit, then we had biking, then we had walking and running. We're putting all of those modes of transportation together in our planning processes so that we're thinking through all of this. So we're asking the question, as we're putting in a new track station, how are people going to access that by car, by bike, and running? When we're putting in a new trail system, how are they going to access that trail system? By the other modes. So every other mode impacts one of the others, and we're starting to think much more holistically about that than we have in the past, and that's really important. Now, where are we going to start? We're going to be very logical about this, right? We have incredible trail systems already that we've been trying to connect over time. So the idea is to prioritize what we have and how to connect it to other places. Where can we get the biggest bang for our buck? Where are the trails most used now, and how can we expand those? And then slowly working our way down the list. Carlos, go ahead.
Yeah.
You probably have some examples of where we can do that on these trails.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly have to work on those connections. I would say next steps for us right now is communicating this vision with more partners, but also working closely with the legislature. We're about to, we're working our way into the legislative session, and these are policy choices that our legislators need to make. And so from the executive branch, we're going to present what we believe is a bold vision, that the right thing to do, but those policymakers are going to have to make decisions on how this can be done and how we would fund this thing. And then so when we come out of the legislative session with the right answer, then we're going to work with our planning partners and the communities on figuring out what the priorities are. We have a 7-member transportation commission that prioritizes the projects that we work on, but this needs to come from the bottom up, I believe, from those communities, and identify where are those gaps, where are those most important pieces. All right, happy customer. And it's for us to figure that out. So I would like to be able to say this is the recipe, 1, 2, 3, but this is the start, and we have a ways to go, and now we can get more people involved in helping to bake the recipe. No, we don't. This is not a cheap project. This is a long-term. We're going to work towards this, and we may not be done in our lifetimes, because I believe as we start making these connections, it's going to grow.
So we've seen Farley Scale on this road, it's taken decades. Does it intersect with private, public, how do you put those pieces together, and what have you?
Yeah. If you can tell me how to keep everyone happy with our projects, I'd love to hear that. What we're talking about now in our present situation, with how dense we're growing, our solution, the challenges are big, but the solutions tend to be even more complex than ever before. And those complex solutions represent significant change in our lives. Change is hard for people. You know, everyone likes to say change is good, but Jed, what they mean, it's good for you, not for me. So making everyone happy I would love to do that. We're not proposing to utilize eminent domain for the acquisition of properties on this. So we are going to have to work through those difficult situations to see if we can find willing sellers, or perhaps the trail's going to have to meander around a certain area to be able to make those connections. But we're not proposing eminent domain at this point, so straight lining this is probably not going to be the way towards making this work.
And if I could, again, I just want to be very clear. We are going after this in a big way. We're very serious about this. The next decade will certainly help. What we've been doing is piecemealing, and there have been lots of people working on it, and most of them are here today. Representative Stenquist, welcome. We have another legislator here, and I appreciate all the work that has been done. What hasn't been done is we haven't had a governor and a Department of Transportation that is putting this at the top of their vision list. We're really good at building roads. We do a lot of impossible things with roads. We have been told many times, you can't do this, it's too expensive, it'll never work, and yet we've done it anyway. And that's what we're doing here. This is, it's probably not a moonshot because we're not building rockets, but it is a huge undertaking and a heavy lift, and we're very serious about moving this forward. And we have legislative partners that are serious about this as well. And so I have no doubt that as leadership comes together and that bottom-up approach that was mentioned, as the citizens of this state want this and demand this and expect this, and we start to reprioritize some of the other funding streams, some of the other opportunities, that we're going to see some really big things happen much quicker than these other trails came together. Sure. They're much smaller, but I can just assure you that if we put eminent domain on the table, this wouldn't get done. So I want to get it done, and the best way for us to get it done is not to use eminent domain.
Yep. Yeah. Let me share something with you, because I love seeing the governor like this. He's excited. When he was the governor-elect, I got a call, and I was invited up to his office, and I was the current executive director, and the governor-elect said, he asked me to stay on, but he said, we want to do big, bold things. I wasn't sure what that was, Governor, but I think this is a big, bold idea that is going to make a difference for Utah for many generations. And just as Eisenhower, when he announced the interstate system, everyone was like, well, how are you going to do this? What does this mean? Where are the lines? He just had that vision, and then great people made it happen. And I think that's what we will do as a state of Utah. Great people will make this happen.
Anyone else? So the question is, what are some of the more significant hurdles going forward? Money's always the biggest hurdle, right? And we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of any resources that are out there. Of course, there's a lot of federal spending that has passed recently with infrastructure money. We'll be looking at all of that, making sure that we can take advantage of as much of that as possible. If you have enough money, you can do a lot of things. And certainly, again, making sure that this is a priority for people and for the legislature, that will be probably the heaviest lift as we do that. Design work, we've got incredible engineers that are here today. They can figure out where to put this, how to make it. We've made some amazing trails. You go down to southern Utah, you look at some of the infrastructure that's here. We can build trails. That's one of the things that we're good at. We just need to have the resources to make it happen. All right. With that, I think if anybody wants some B-roll of a little walk over. Are we going over the bridge? I think we're going over the bridge. You're welcome to join us. Jennifer, anything else? Is that it? Okay, thanks everyone.